Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at installing and of course listening to the Stainless Works Redline Series catback exhaust with X-pipe and the factory connect, available for all 2018 and newer Mustang GTs without active exhaust. Now right off the bat, as you just heard from our sound clip, this guy is going to get 5 out of 5 on our loudness meter. This thing is super aggressive, definitely one of the louder options in the category. That's simply because it's got the Redline Series muffler. Now, Stainless Works has their Redline and their Legend series, which I'll explain more in detail later on, but know the Redline is made to put out all of the volume. This guy is very deep, very aggressive. It can be raspy at some of those higher RPM notes, and it may have a little bit of drone inside the cabin, but their technology does allow them to reduce some of those higher frequencies. So if you're really looking to wake the neighbors in the morning and make noise all day long, this is definitely going to be one of the ways to go. Now the cool thing about this particular kit is it has the X-pipe instead of the H-pipe, which is going to be a little bit raspier, a little louder. It's going to produce a little bit more power because it is more free-flowing. They do have an H-pipe option out there though if you're looking to keep things a little bit deeper in tone. It's obviously personal preference. Now the factory connect refers to the fact that this exhaust was built for factory or stock headers or manifolds. If you're planning on running long tube headers, whether it be Stainless Works or otherwise, you want to look at their Performance Connect version. That option is also in the category. Now this kit here has a 3-inch mandrel-bent 304 stainless steel tubing, which is what we expect from Stainless Works. Highest quality exhaust materials in the category, great for guys in wintry weather areas, maybe seeing a lot of road salt in those wintry months like we do here on the East Coast. That stuff can corrode your exhaust, so having 304 stainless makes it more corrosion and rust resistant. The tips here are about 4-inch polished stainless steel, which looks super aggressive, obviously retaining that quad tip look to fit into the factory rear valance. Overall, if you like polished finishes, I think this is one of the more professional looking ones in the category. There's black options out there too if you're looking for something a little stealthier. This kit's gonna come in right around $1,650, which is just on par with some of the other top tier brands in the category, specifically ones that have 304 stainless and these nice big tips. Now, when it comes to the install, I'm giving it 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. It is a direct bolt-on, not gonna require any cutting, no welding, none of that nonsense. It will completely replace your factory system and its factory locations. Now, it's gonna take very simple hand tools to get the job done. If you're working on the ground, of course, remember a jack and jack stands to keep things safe, or if you have a lift like we do, makes life a lot easier. The install will take you about 2 to 3 hours from start to finish. I'm gonna walk you through every step of the process. Let's get to it. Tools used in this install include an impact gun or a ratchet, an extension, 13 and 15 millimeter deep sockets. Recommended would be WD-40 or something similar, and a mallet. All right guys, once you have your Mustang up in the air and supported properly, whether it be on jack stands or on a lift like we have here, you want to grab an impact gun or a ratchet and a 15 millimeter deep socket, and we're going to loosen up the 2 band clamps holding on your factory catback to the catalytic converter pipes. Now you'll see that right in front of the factory resonator. There's 2 nuts here and 2 nuts there. We don't have to completely remove them, just get them nice and loose. All right, the next step, we're gonna move back toward the rear of our vehicle, right under the rear subframe. Now, if you look at your rear sway bar, straight past them are 2 hangers where your exhaust is hooked on and bolted to that subframe using 2 13 millimeter bolts. From here, instead of trying to slide our hangers out of the isolators, I'm actually just gonna completely unbolt the isolators to make life a lot easier. So grab an extension and a 13 millimeter deep socket, and what I like to do is go straight over the sway bar and remove those 2 bolts. All right, now what I like to do after the bolts are removed is we have to unclip the isolator from the frame. They're still hooked in there. So what you're basically gonna do is lift up on them so they disconnect and rotate them down and out of the way. All right, our next step here is to get our entire factory catback off of the vehicle. We're gonna start up here with our resonator. Right in front of those, I'm gonna tap out the factory band clamps. I got my buddy Stan helping me get this thing down. If you're working on the ground, you may be able to do it by yourself, but if you're in the air, you might want a helping hand. All right, so now we should slide them out of the hangers at the tips, and it should come free. So we got our factory exhaust off of our 19 GT, and it's on the ground next to our Stainless Works Redline Factory Connect catback. I want to take you through some similarities and differences between the two kits. Let's start up front. The factory exhaust has this resonator mid-pipe that can be really restrictive for airflow and bring down the volume a lot, as opposed to what you'd get from an aftermarket mid-pipe. Here with our Stainless Works, we have the X-pipe using a factory connect. The X-pipe is going to be a lot more free-flowing. It's going to actually have a raspier sound than an H-pipe or a resonator here. It's also going to give you a small bump in power and torque because of how much more airflow is getting through and how much quicker it's getting through. Factory Connect just refers to the fact that you are using your factory headers or your stock manifolds as opposed to Stainless Works long tube headers. If you're using an aftermarket set of long tube headers such as Stainless Works, you'd want to go with the Performance Connect series, which is also available in the category. We're retaining the stock manifolds, so we have the Factory Connect here, something to keep in mind. The rest of the system here is a 304 stainless steel, highest quality materials in the category there, which is exactly what we expect from Stainless Works. They are one of the more premium brands, so they make really high quality stuff. They use TIG welds in their entire system. It's a 3-inch mandrel-bent tubing, slightly larger than the factory 2.75, so that way you get a little bit more volume of airflow moving through as well. You can see the hangers are in the same spot. Hangers are facing the opposite direction, which doesn't change anything. Now, when it comes to the mufflers, that's where you get the biggest change in sound. Your factory mufflers have a lot of baffling, keeping some of that volume down while also eliminating any drone, which is good for the daily driver. Now, Stainless Works has the Redline series and the Legend series when it comes to their mufflers. The Redline is known to be the louder, more aggressive one, giving you a louder volume while also minimizing some of the drone you'd get in cabin from some of the louder options. Now, their Legend series is known to be a little bit more mellow, keeping it a little more tamed, which is typically for a daily driver and someone not looking to be a little overwhelming. And then finally, after that, you have your tips. It retains the quad tip functionality we get from the 18 and newer Mustangs. It's a 4-inch quad tip double-walled polished stainless steel. This polished finish is going to help retain the color to make sure it doesn't discolor under the heat, so it keeps that bright finish all day long. Now, the 4-inch tip is a little larger than the factory. It's also got the slash cut, and they're angled in a little bit more than the factory as well, which I think just gives it a little bit more of an aggressive look. Finally, there are some black options out there if you're not looking for a polished chrome, but that's personal preference. Now we have to swap over the factory hangers, so that's what we're going to do next, and then we'll jump into install. All right, so now we have to swap over these hangers, and I'd recommend lubricating these if you need to. Sometimes it can be a bit tough to get off. You can use WD-40 or something similar, but really what you're doing is just sliding them straight back and popping them off. All right, so when you're swapping these over, you just want to take note of this tab at the top end of the hanger isolator. You want that facing the front of the vehicle or the subframe where it hooked onto. So when we slide these guys onto the hangers, just make sure they're facing this opposite direction. All right, first step, take those factory band clamps that we removed from the factory resonator, and we're going to slide those back into position on the catalytic converter pipes. Now they do have little open slots to line up with this little welded on button to make sure they're aligned properly, so just slide them in there, and now we can grab our X-pipe. Now for the X-pipe, grab the smaller section, and we're going to slide these guys into the factory band clamps. Grab your 15mm socket and tighten these down. All right, next up is the extension pipe that's going to reach from the X-pipe to the pipes that'll connect to your subframe. Now you'll see that they have a sticker on them that says left or right common. That means that they are not side specific. It's a universal pipe for this kit, so left or right does not matter. But when you slide them on, make sure you have a clamp in position first. So I'm going to slide that guy back, rotate the clamp outward, and I'm going to tighten this guy down. Now what I like to do is get everything nice and snug, but not too tight, leaving a little bit of room for adjustment if need be. All right, now we're doing the same thing on the other side. When I install this guy, I'm going to try to make sure these guys are completely even. Next pipe we're going to do is our passenger side. Now this one is labeled right with a red sticker, so we know that's the passenger. I'm going to put a clamp over the end and connect that to the X-pipe extension pipes. All right, so now once this is in place, I'm going to head over to the subframe and take a look at the hanger isolator. I'm going to rotate this guy up and connect it to the subframe. Now we can go back and get that clamp nice and snug. All right, so this is a good pipe that you want to make sure you're not getting too tight. We want to be able to slide it around once we get our mufflers in place. Now we're doing the same thing with the pipe labeled left for driver's side. And again, back at the subframe, we're going to rotate this hanger isolator up and hook it onto that slot. All right, so now I don't want this clamp to be touching our body of the vehicle, or in this case, the gas. So what we want to do is just rotate it downward a little bit so it's not making any contact. So now we can take our factory 13mm bolts and put them back into place on the subframe. Now you may need to rotate the pipes or pull them to the side to make sure they line up properly. Once you have that bolt in, it'll retain that position. Grab your 13mm socket, and again, I like to use the extension and go over the sway bar and tighten them down. All right, so next we're going to install the muffler on our passenger side, again with the sticker right for passenger. You want to make sure you have a clamp on the pipe. Slide the hanger into the isolator first, and then line up the tubing to the one we just installed. Once you have that in place, rotate the pipes together and connect them. Now, if you need help getting these guys to seat, you can use a mallet here and just tap on the inside. I like to focus tapping on like the welds here. It's one of the stronger portions so you don't dent the system. Once you have that guy seated, rotate your clamp into position and tighten it down with your 15mm. Now again, we're going to get this nice and snug, leave a little bit of room for adjustment. Now we can do the same thing on the other side. With that guy in place, rotate your clamp up in position, get it nice and snug. Now what we're going to do is lift our mufflers into position, align our tips where we want them, go back and tighten down all our clamps, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to lift up on our muffler here, make sure it's aligned, and tighten down our clamp. That's going to wrap up my review and install for the Stainless Works Redline Series catback with X-pipe and the Factory Connect for all 18 and newer Mustang GTs without active exhaust. You can get this right here at AmericanMuscle.com.